Denver on his newborn. So we'll start our meeting. March the 5th, 4 o'clock, room 312. Take it away, Robbie.
All right, getting to the cash and fund balance report. General fund, restricted funds are at 1.3 million, committed 2 million, assigned funds are 519,857. Unassigned fund balance is at 3.7 million, total fund balance is at 7.7 million, and cash is $12,107,039. And I do want to say, cash would have been a lot higher this month, but all the budget amendments we've been doing when we've been moving money from 101 to capital improvement, we had never moved the cash to the capital improvement fund, and we discovered that this month, so we had to move almost $3 million to 171 to cover all the capital improvement expenses, the ESG money that we borrowed from unassigned. So it would be 15 million, but 171 got 3 million of that. So that's why it looks lower than it should after February. So any questions on that?
That's still a pretty good number.
Yes.
Go ahead, man.
All right, our sales tax report, the second page is the local option sales tax. January was a very big month at $1,025,233. It's a record setter for Anderson County. And sales tax is really looking good the last 2 months, so hope this trend continues, especially the last month. That'd be great. And you can see that little orange dot on the graph, that's January, way up above. You didn't?
It's black.
Oh, I'm sorry, mine's in color.
Over.
The sales tax report, the local
The
option.
black, the mark, the little circle.
The little dot at the top is
Right there,
where.
yeah. She got it, she got it.
That's the graph for last month's sales tax. Or the,
Question, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Robbie, how much was that increase related to the change in internet sales and the location where you, as opposed to,
the last 2 months
Where's delivery?
specifically are both supposed to be related to that change. So we've been kind of worried about it, so we've asked the Department of Revenue, to make sure it's our money. And we're still unsure because that's such a large increase. But the mayor's even requested I get a status report to see where the money's coming from, so if we can account for it in future years, or if it's somebody doing some really big business. She had mentioned one company.
Well, like UPF, maybe some of it we're seeing their material purchases, which that would go away after the construction project, so we don't know if that's some of it as well.
So we're going to request that report and try to, locate exactly where it's coming from. But most of it is internet sales tax. The first month especially, we looked at it, it was internet, all of it was, or the increases. I mean, our sales tax has been trending upwards, but nothing like this, so.
thank you.
Good report.
And the last thing I have for reports is the EMS summary financial statement. As of February, they had collected 70%, almost 71% of their revenue at $4,089,000, and they have spent $3,776,000. So they're continue to be right on schedule.
Any questions?
I do have a question.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, go.
So, Robbie, when do you have the cutoff scheduled for, this is it for the budget meeting? In other words, the agenda came out late Tuesday
Yes,
for today's meeting.
right. Oh, it's at 2 p.m. on Tuesday.
Is there any way that that can be backed up even a little bit so
I
that
mean-
when we get these packets, we have a little more time to be able to review the information?
That would be great for me too, because you can imagine the amendments coming in at 2, and I have to get them out, supposedly get them to you all by the end of the
Right.
day.
I mean,
So-
you've got a lot of paper,
Yeah,
let alone the books that we got, and I was totally overwhelmed. Unfortunately,
sure.
I didn't have access until this morning.
I'm not real sure how that date was set as a deadline. Do you know, Mayor, as far as when the budget cutoff?
I got here
That, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's been for years. I mean, it would just mean that they had to prepare a day earlier. A lot of people will wait till the last minute, a lot of them turn them in early, so.
And that's one of the reasons why I was stressing that. I don't think it's right for somebody to turn something in at 1:45 to you and, knowing that, oh, we've got a budget meeting coming in 2 days, and then the rest of us get a packet like this. I can't study that. I can't,
Right,
that along with the books and et cetera.
I understand. You got a lot of information this week.
Right, we did. But thank you.
You're welcome.
So are there a solution to that?
Well, I mean, I will check on it and find out how the deadline is set and who set it. If it's something that we can change here with this committee, then I don't have a problem. If that's what you all want to do, I'm fine with that.
I mean, I would appreciate it. If there's
Sure.
if there's a fire to be put out, that can always go to commission, if they
Right.
need
Well,
something right
and
away.
we've been trying not to do that. I have been actually turning people down to do that because
Good.
Chairman got upset one night when we were bringing extra, things that hadn't been through committees yet, so we
Right.
stopped me and Catherine both have stopped doing that, pretty much.
Well, it's understandable, but it was kind of like with the juvenile court system. To me, that was a fire.
Right. I mean, there are
See
emergencies
what I mean?
that are worth
Yeah.
bringing.
Yeah.
I agree.
Mr. Fritz, you got any ideas when the budget deadline,
This is the way it's always been.
the way it's always
This is
been?
the way it's always been. I've been on the commission for 18 years, and it's always been that way the whole time I've been on the commission.
I'll check into
Well,
it.
if you can help us out, good. If you can't, we'll continue, but do what you can for us.
Sure.
Thank you.
Consent agenda.
Yes.
Move for approval.
Got a motion to approve?
1 through
I've
16.
not reviewed any of it, to be honest.
Well, it's pages 1 through 16.
Yeah, if you can have a moment.
Well, I had a question about number 15.
Please, go.
See if I can find it.
Wait a minute, I've got a motion. Let's see if you get a second.
You got a second?
Got a motion and a second, I'm sorry.
That's all right, I thought I read the second, so. No, thank you. No, this wasn't it either. Let me find it.
Question on 15.
Well, I thought it was 15, but it was not what I was looking for. All right, as we go through, I'll find it. Don't me hold
I
things
got a
up.
motion and a second for the consent agenda. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 3.
Transfers and
County
appropriations
Schools.
from the school department, 1730 through 31, looking for approval as a group or individually, or pull any amount that you would like to ask questions about.
Move to approve as a group, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve as a group. Discussion?
These I did have some questions on. All of these from the schools, these large amounts of money, why are we now taking these up again? And why, I mean, I didn't feel there was enough explanation.
Ms.
I mean,
Minton, you
these are
want to
some
come in?
very
and address-
large sums of money.
Most of these adjustments are for some earlier miscalculations within the original budget.
Whoa.
And as I was going through, beginning to work on the 2021 budget, I wanted to also square up the 1920 budget. And so I wanted to ensure that we had ample money within all of these benefits, within the salary codes, and
So are these just adjustments within the current budget that just need to be transferred into different codes?
yes, ma'am.
Wow.
So it's not affecting the bottom line?
No, it's not. These are all transfers.
Okay. Got a motion and a second? Any more?
Question. So without me going to take the time and calculate all this up, about how many hundreds of thousands or perhaps $1 million worth of transfers are these? I mean, I've got
I see a $500,000 easily.
231,000, 298,000.
The 231,000, that is, that's to provide money for the contracted substitute teachers that we are experimenting with this year. There's another large one on retirement,
Yeah,
and
21.
what happened there is we had, as I said, we had a misstatement of revenue and expenditures. We had some revenue on the side, but we didn't have the corresponding expenditure. And as it was corrected, it created a hole that needed to be, that I needed to fix. And so that's what this one is.
140,
Any other discussion?
148.
Any other discussion?
No, I'm just,
I know.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Sheriff's
Thank you.
Department.
Before we leave the schools, before she leaves,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we're getting ready to come into the budget cycle and everything like that, and there is something I do have an interest and concern is. I do know that we got a lot of revenues coming in with this higher sales tax and things of that nature. But with the governor's budget, with the raises that he's proposing and things of that nature, I do know that we do have more positions than what the
Yes, we do.
DEP pays and everything of that nature, which puts that much more burden on the county to come up with. I would like maybe the schools to keep us abreast on how things are looking, and because with the type of raises and things he is proposing, that's going to be a pretty good ka-ching come at the county to make up for the rest of the employees that we have. So I don't know whether we're going to have enough revenue coming in to offset that, or, you know.
We're anticipating that we will, but
Yeah, that's why I wanted, you know, that if y'all to keep us abreast on how
yes,
that
well,
looks.
we are
and-
anticipating also the increases in the BEP because of the insurance increases, the salary increases, and also just the different cost of living index that they run through every year. So we are anticipating some as well.
Because with that, I knew that was a concern I had, and I just
Yes.
wanted to make, didn't want it all of a sudden to come as a shock, you know.
Well, we've got the same concern.
So I just appreciate, you know, just constantly, you know, maybe updates every now and then, just how that
Okay.
how that is looking.
All right, I'll be happy to.
Thank you.
Thank
Any other
you.
questions for Ms. Minton?
No, thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck. Sheriff's Department.
Yes, the Sheriff's Department has an appropriation from insurance recovery, $4,186.67, and increasing motor vehicle by that same amount.
Second,
Got a motion and a second. Discussion?
question,
Question, please.
Tyler,
Yes, ma'am.
you made the mistake, you made eye contact. So has this vehicle been replaced or repaired?
Totaled.
It was totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
So has it been replaced?
Not yet, no. It's just a line car is being used.
When was this accident?
I don't have it in front of me. I believe it was in January.
It says the lost date,
So-
January 15th.
It was our jail investigator, Sergeant Braden, who was in the accident. So he's using a line car.
Okay. Will that vehicle be replaced within this year's budget, or are you expecting it to be in next year's budget?
As of right now, we would expect next year's budget, but we did have some line cars that he could use that it may turn into a permanent.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any disapprove? Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, 33 and 34 from the county clerk, but we are striking out 34, no longer doing it.
No longer doing 34.
Need a
So-
motion on 33?
33 is an appropriation, $12,100 from restricted to data processing equipment. We actually did this last year, but for the kiosk, but the county clerk's office didn't get it paid last year, so that money rolled back into the restricted code, and we're requesting it again this
Move for approval.
same year.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, 35 is from the Anderson County Library Board. It's $100 increasing postage from their dedicated reserve.
Who are they mailing stuff?
Motion, second, discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, 36 is an appropriation from the Circuit Court Rex Lynch, decreasing archives and records restriction fund, $22,615, and increasing their Circuit Court Code 53100-799 by the same amount.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion?
Second.
Of course I have questions. You made eye contact.
I think the mayor's got the comment too. She emailed me about the funding source as well. I'll give you all.
Why aren't you dressed sharp today?
We had Grant, the jury, the new jury pool coming today. Help carry that.
That's a mess.
Wait, did I give you one that had my name on it? Says Lynch and Scott. So the picture right there, this is the current archive, one of the archive rooms in Oak Ridge that I inherited.
Do me and Shane have to share this one?
That's all I've got.
Here, I'll share it with you.
That's fine, I don't care.
So if you look, it's in a room adjacent to where our clerks are at. So page one is, we've cleaned it up a little bit, but still, I invited y'all, a few of y'all to come down and see some of the files. So these are files that go back from 1998 till probably 2016. Why they're stored like that, I don't know. I think part of it was when they moved out of Oak Ridge. But the ladies tell me when they moved to Oak Ridge, everything was locked and put in, so it's a mess. And so I've got a proposal here of how to, two things I wanna do. One, we wanna get these files in proper order. There's a lot of these files that we're in the process of scanning and shredding and get rid of, because we don't need to keep them after 10
Good.
years. So the process, majority of these will be scanned and shredded.
Okay.
We've got an issue on the second floor of the courthouse. You know, it's overloaded. we've got probably, I don't know, maybe say 30% of files there, juvenile court, probably on the second floor of the courthouse, and we know that floor is overloaded.
Wait, second floor of this courthouse?
There's a vault down there that has full records.
Oh.
And the report that the mayor gave, it had the floor loading issue. I think that's an issue too.
Yes.
So about 30% of those records in that room are juvenile court records, which are confidential. We don't let those go in the general archive area. So my proposal is, with the archive money, I think there's $25,000 still left in reserve, is to take that money by shelving to put in this room that mainly will house all the juvenile records that are on the third floor, on the second floor, I'm sorry. And we'll get all this room cleaned out. And the drawing you see on page 5 is actually a drawing of the system.
Is that one of those movable
It
systems
is
like you
mobile,
installed?
the units in the middle are mobile, around the outside the wall are fixed. We've got downstairs, there is 400 minute books. If you've seen the minute books, or if you've seen them, there's 400 of them, that's a lot. Those will go in the fixed storage spaces all the way around. Then on the slight movable shelves, it'll handle 756 of the acid-free boxes. We've probably got probably close to 400 on the second floor and a few other places. So this room, with this money, we can about fill this room up to about 70% capacity. It'll be locked, secured, no general access. It's lock and key.
That's going to be on the second floor of this building?
This will be in Oak Ridge,
Okay, very good.
on a solid floor.
Concrete
Good,
floor.
all right,
Yeah.
okay. I'm
So-
going with you.
That's my proposal.
That makes
kinda-
sense.
Trying to clean up a mess. Again, I don't know, I'm not pointing fingers, I don't care. I just
Sure.
know the records are in a
Sure.
mess, and it's a combination of a lot of people. And so we just need to get them, so I'm using the current archivist. He's been working part-time, I'm paying some of I got some part-time money. Some of my clerks are working some overtime, so we're just slowly trying to.
The ones that are on the boxes, in the boxes on the pallets, are those boxes from where they were stored at?
These are actually off the table that I first showed you. So they were here.
Okay,
And so we went ahead and started putting them in boxes, so right now, we just go ahead and put them on the pallets, and we put a label on the outside, so we know where they're gonna go.
okay.
So that's a couple of weeks' worth of work right there. And we just, being on pallets, it's not a good way to store them, so. That's a proposal, I don't know, you wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm not, and I told this to Rex, I think this is a good idea, what he has planned. My only issue is the code he's requesting to take it out of. I would encourage you to take it out of general fund or something like that. And the reason, this is a slow building fund that the fees are collected from the various offices that go to permanent preservation of the records. The language of the resolution that allows us to collect that does say storage, but it's for the permanent records that we keep for long term. And the how things have operated in the past through the Records Commission, and we dealt with this once before. Rodney was going to use this fund to purchase some shelving, and we all kind of agreed on the Records Committee, and Rex wasn't here in his defense at that time, that we would use this for things like the books. So, for instance, you just finished the second phase with Tim Shelton, where he is doing that book restoration, and I think he's got a third phase. This would wipe that fund out. It's not a very big fund, and it doesn't build quickly. So I know, other departments have taken shelving from either their existing funds or from capital funds or for furniture and fixture line items. That's my only concern about that, is just wiping this fund out. And then I know you've got other requests that are going to come that are for the actual preservation of the record itself. So ultimately, it's your decision, but I did want to just make you aware of that and maybe encourage you to take it from somewhere else. Again, I'm not opposed to what he's doing. I mean, he's cleaning it up, he's getting it on shelves, but I'm just talking about the use of that particular funding source.
Robbie, if we don't take it out of this fund code, there's no other code except
Oh, not in
general?
Rex's budget, I just looked at it. He doesn't have
And I was
20,000.
gonna say, the resolution she's talking about, if you look at the bottom, that's what it's specifically for storage. And this room will be long-term. These are juvenile court records that'll be in there, as far as I'm concerned, outlive all our lives, so I don't know.
Sure, but at the same time, I can understand her point.
Yeah.
Because we do have
I agree.
historical archives.
And so I only brought you one more piece of data just to show you. So on this page here, this actually shows what my department, the four courts operate, what we collect, $5 on each document was filed. So if you look over the last 6 years, we've collected $145,000. We've never asked for anything out of that code. Again, I don't think this is even my issue. I'm just trying to protect the records
Sure.
of the county. I just thought this was a good place. We put in about $25,000 each year into that reserve code, so I don't know. So, yeah, this year, that 24 will be depleted, but as soon as we close the books, there should be another 25 or more go in, I think, at the end of the year.
It doesn't grow that fast. I mean, we look what we noticed, like,
So
It
that's just
grows
a-
about 18,000.
yeah, or to 20,000.
20,000 a
And
year.
it has a little over 25,000 right now. And if you didn't use that code, the only other funding source would be unassigned fund balance.
And the other day, I kind of got off, the auditor kind of got off me because we were trying to spend some money. He says, use the fund balance, your fund balance monies first.
Right.
It was just a suggestion.
No,
I
that's
had.
true.
I bring the request and some options.
What's the pleasure of the board? Mr. Bob?
Yeah, question for the mayor.
Yes.
Do you see any immediate upcoming needs for
Well,
the budget? And
I haven't had a chance to consult on what we're looking at and when Tim Shelton is going to do his third phase. If you all recall, he came to you with a plan to do a 3-year restoration of the books, the old books in his office. I think you authorized the second year. When I was pulling kind of the history of the fund, I saw that you, Karen in Robbie's office got me, the second year was 40,000. So if you wipe this out, then if he comes back for his request, you're going to have to get his funding from somewhere else to keep the third year agreement that you had in place there. So, and I guess that's why I'm saying we kind of have had this habit. For instance, if you recall, we've had, out of his code, he purchased a cabinet, and Commissioner Scott questioned, that $9,000 purchase. And, but that came out of his funds, not the archives. The archives, our habit has been to use those for the minute books and the permanent records and putting them together in those big books that you see that are on the shelf and those kind of things. So,
I can answer the question about Tim Shelton. His third request is in the capital outlay request for this coming budget year. He has that as an imperative need, 30,000. It went down to 30,000 from 40 last year, but it's in the capital outlay request for this coming budget season, next budget season.
Ms. Cox?
Well, Robbie, would it not make sense for the funds for this request to come out of this fund now? It is being requested. In other words, when Tim steps forward, if he needs money and we have to pull it out of general fund, so be it. But right now, this is what's available in that, or this can take, what's available in that cookie jar can take care of this figure
True.
without pulling it out of the general fund.
and that is my only point in all of this, and that's why I'm stepping forward and
Sure.
saying it's your decision. But my point is, in keeping peace between all departments, who gets to make a claim to those funds? Why is one department getting to purchase shelving from that fund and another isn't? And so, that's why I'm saying we have had, through the Records Committee, an understanding that it would be used for the actual preservation of records, not for the fixtures. But if you want to change that, yes,
No,
you
but
can do
they are
that.
preserving records. If he's got juvenile records that need to be preserved, then he's preserving those records.
Is that a permanent record?
The juvenile records are,
Yeah,
yes.
juvenile records are permanent, and we're trying to get them off the second floor. That's why this kind of brought me out. We need to get them off the second floor.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I made a motion.
Motion to approve?
I did.
As presented. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, number 37 is appropriation from animal control from Brian Porter. He's increasing his revenue, 43194 A&ML, $1,500, and increasing travel, $1,500.
Got a motion? Second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. To pick up a truck?
This is apparently to pick up their new animal control
Pennsylvania.
truck in Pennsylvania.
This is one of the ones I did have a question on, that there are 217s. I mean, excuse me, 37s.
That's because he hand wrote that one and we just redid it on
Okay, so
in the
it's-
computer.
It's the same.
Same one,
Same
but
one.
I just attached, kept his copy
I
too.
just wanted clarification.
That's why I numbered them both 37.
So your question was?
My question has been answered as to why there were two exactly
Okay.
the same.
Mr. Bob?
Just, where is this revenue coming from? It's additional revenue, right?
Their service charges for their animal controls, they actually have well over, they put revenue, but they increase revenue and increase their expenditure codes, and they are doing really well in their revenue, so.
I like the code.
Yes.
Ms. Teresa?
So Rob, he's not here?
Mr. Porter, he
Brian?
couldn't be here today, no.
I was
This is
gonna ask why
actually,
it's $15.
this is actually, well, and John Vickery is here, so this is actually, John is going to get the truck, and he does have some, when he submitted that request, he didn't have the final numbers, so he is here and he's got some, more
John.
detailed numbers.
But it should be right around 800 for plane ticket, fuel back. 2 people, that way there's no overnight stay. The flight we got going out on the 19th, we'll be leaving at 7 in the morning, getting there about 2 o'clock. So give you time to meet with the people, get the truck, put you on the road, and drive straight back without staying overnight. And when we first looked at it, the prices were different. Looked at them a while ago. The plane tickets are, I think, $400 for both of them. The rest will be fuel. Just in case something happens or breakdown, it's under warranty, so you may have to stay at a dealership somewhere, but that's all the extra's about. Won't be spent, probably won't never use it.
Up to $1,500.
Yes,
Any more discussion?
Is this a brand-new vehicle?
yes.
It is.
Yes, ma'am.
Where in Pennsylvania, and, I mean, is it in?
Harrisburg?
Okay.
Oh,
Is it coming from the manufacturer?
yes,
or-
yeah, we had it drop shipped from Ford. They built the truck for us, and they drop shipped over there to Swab, and they put the box on it, got everything built and ready to go.
Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, number 38 is a transfer for payroll. It's decreasing part-time help 51910-169, $14,190.43, and increasing clerical personnel 51910-162 by the same amount.
Second,
Got a motion and a second, discussion?
Mayor, is this for that particular department, or is it with your department?
If you'll recall, we didn't know what Mrs. Harris's timeline was going to be, so the last time I came to you, we moved everything from full-time into part-time.
Right.
Then Miss Harris announced she would be retiring. So this is to put it back into the full-time code, and Matthew has been hired full-time as the archivist. And then it also allows us to pay out the accrued vacation time for Miss Harris.
Beautiful, thank you.
Good deal.
And we will be making a presentation for Ms. Harris at Commission. We're gonna name her Historian Emeritus
There you
for
go.
all time.
There
So
you go.
Good.
There you go. There you go. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay,
Good
39
job.
is a transfer from payroll, with payroll from EMA. It's decreasing 54410-499 EMPG, that's civil defense, other supplies and materials, $11,000, and increasing 54410-187 overtime pay, $4,000, and 338 emergency management repairs and maintenance vehicles by $7,000.
Motion?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion and a second, discussion?
Question.
Mr. Bob?
Yeah, just a comment or and a question, I guess, is removing $11,000 out of other supplies and materials. That's a pretty good chunk. And I guess my question is, how tightly are we budgeting when we're able to move that much out of a line item? And I realize you can't anticipate everything as you're building the budget, but it seems like a pretty strong hit out of supplies and,
That's grant money, too.
Grant money.
pardon?
It's grant money. The EMPG is grant money.
Okay, so that was that budgeted
No, sir.
originally?
I mean, it was put in there because we anticipated that grant. It comes every year to us.
Okay, so
And-
you haven't had to, obviously, you don't need that then for the grant?
We'll do without until next year, until the other money comes in for whatever we would have bought with that money. But no, sir, we spend all our grant money every year. And this right here was, I need somebody on the interstate for manpower that's covered by the county insurance, and our part-time people are, in case they get hurt. I need that and the training they take, as well as doing the repairs on my vehicle. No, sir, we spend every dime, whatever grant. You got another one?
Another what?
I'm sorry.
No, that's it.
How about the,
It was in the consent agenda, actually, we already approved it.
You through, Mr. Bob? Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Steve.
All right, number 40 is a transfer major line item from the Health Department. Charles Turner, it's decreasing state appropriations, $1,366, and increasing primary prevention initiative.
Motion, second.
Got a motion and a second, discussion? All in favor say? Aye. Any opposed? I thought you had a question, that's the reason I stopped in midstream. Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, and the last budget amendment is for me, the Finance Department. It was actually an emergency budget a budget amendment. We, through the mediation agreement with a lawsuit with Anderson County, we agreed to pay so much money. We had already reserved $400,000 for that payment, but they needed an additional $80,000 by March 1st. So we've already made the payment, and so now y'all have to approve the budget.
Let's go ahead and approve it then. Motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
If we
Thank
hadn't have made that payment, we could have been charged a lot more interest, so that was the reason for it.
Are we done?
I'm very opposed, but I'll be quiet.
Well,
We're done with section, with the budget amendments. Now to the section A has been canceled. They are, Robert wanted to talk about purchasing some property, but they've already, sold that property, so. So the next thing on the agenda is, the 2021 proposed budget. So, all the committee should have received an email from me this week, I guess Tuesday or Monday or Tuesday, with the budgets, with all this, from several funds, and a couple of EMS options as well. And today, we have passed out your personal book that has the same information in it. And I decided to give a book this year because this isn't going to be like the books in the past where it was so big you didn't want to bring it back and forth. It will stay pretty much this size always. So I promise we'll manage it. But I think that it's good. I think y'all like having things in front of you to see it. So it makes a difference. I think it does. So just going through that budget really quick, the book you have, the first page is the Anderson County government. It's based on department proposed budgets. It's just a real high level, shows where we are projecting funds starting out at the end of June or July 1st, or budgeted revenues, proposed budgeted expenses, whether the budget has a deficit or a surplus, and the ending restricted, how it has an effect on the fund balance at the end. So as you can see, and I'm sure y'all have noticed, that general fund has an excess surplus in their budget right now for the first time in several years. And that has everything to do with the sales tax and how I projected the sales tax in the budget, which was at 1.6 million base. And last year, that's almost $800,000 increase. But I annualized it from last year at this time till, and that's what we come up with. I mean, it could be risky, but it also could be a lot more if we don't have any trends established yet with sales tax because of the way it's been very dramatic lately. So I think it's something we should watch the next couple of months, and we may want to adjust it again, that revenue, but right now that's what I have it at. So, any questions about this first page? I put both of EMS's options in there. That's just for information. So the second page is a summary of proposed budgets, and you also got this in your email. It shows the revenues, the proposed revenues, and the amended budgeted revenues in this year's budget. It's comparing the two. So there was an increase. You can see the increase there in each, what funds, like 4,000 local taxes and how it increased. And the second is expenses, and it shows each department, and if there was an increase, it kind of explains why. Like some of them are CTAS increases with salaries, like commissions, the first one, I included the CTAS raise for the commissioners, so that that is in there. And the Board of Equalization, the second one, theirs doubled, but this year's a reappraisal year, and in June, they're gonna have all kinds, and Catherine can attest to it. They're gonna be very busy, so that's why theirs went up. So that kind of explains every code, every department. And I can honestly say, because of our budget guidelines, I feel like every department came under for the most part. And I think it's because we had strong guidelines. And a lot of departments reduced their budgets. So we have, it's honestly, I know we have, I was telling Rick this at the Board of Trustees. We have 2 meetings scheduled here in March, but I'm not sure we'll need the second meeting. I think we could almost do it next. There's probably only 4 to 5 hearings that you might, for people that, obviously EMS and property assessor wants to speak, and a few more, but they're very simple, and there's not a lot of increases, so I think we could even have the hearings and do the vote next week if we wanted to, next Thursday, so.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So if you look at the third page, or the third report I have in here, it's from the Department Consolidated Retirement System. We just got this yesterday. We had our annual retirement meeting. And we're given a rate by the consolidated retirement every year that we should do for our matching rate. Last year, the minimum rate was 6.99, but we did 7.33. We'd already had that calculated way in. This year, the rate dropped to 4.17. So with that rate, they recommend you pay more, but we're definitely I don't think we should pay 7.33 in with a rate of 4.17. And I was recommending 5.19, and that could be a savings of $447,892 more in revenue that you're not even seeing yet, so,
Wait. Question. Am I okay?
yes, you can ask.
So, go, step back.
Yeah.
What was it prior to,
7.33.
is what we were paying?
That's what we paid on matching retirement for salaries in Anderson County. In a month, if I had $30,000 in salary, in the 5%, we matched it at 7.33, the county did. You build up this unfunded accrued liability, and we have $3.2 million in that for for a retirement system. But what happened was it's based on the last 10 years. I didn't go to the meeting, but Paul did, and the way he explained it to me, it's based on the last 10 years, and 10 years ago, the last one where the market kind of crashed, it was kind of high, that dropped off, so it lowered, a lot of people's rates were lowered this year, and that's a big it's a big plus for us. And it affects the schools also, their budget.
But you're saying it's 4.1 now? Or for
Our
this next
minimum,
year?
the minimum they asked for us this year is 4.17, but they encourage you to pay a little more in.
So you're going with 5?
5.1, yeah, I just increased it by 1%. Me and the mayor talked about it, and
Okay.
I've talked to Julie in the school business office, and, yeah. 5.17.
5.17.
So you feel comfortable with that number?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Go ahead, sir.
Okay, and then the next thing I have in your book is capital outlay. The first page is the imperatives. It's 1.5 million for everyone. And the second page is all general fund, all their needs, whether it's essential, important, it's rated. It's hard to read, I know, because it's very small. The third page is EMS, and the last page is highway, with what they submitted last year as their 5-year. And then it starts in the budgets, and we have them tabbed for you, each of the budgets. And I will say this, one thing we did add to the budget line this year, if you look in your budget,
That's really tiny.
which the one, I'll redo that for you and make it 2 or 3 pages. If you look at the budget, though, the 101 budget, one column we added this year was a 3-year average in both revenue and expenses, so it kind of gives you an ideal, like what's been spent in the code the last 3 years, or what's, we've like the first 40110 county property tax for the last 3-year average is 11,519,443. So it gives you an idea of what we've done in the past, a trend, kind of, so to speak.
That's good.
Robbie, where are you finding, when you said that some of these departments are coming in under the previous budget, where are you finding the cuts to be most?
Well, some of it was insurance, and I will say this, last year when we did our budget, most of our insurance numbers were based on the prior year, because we bid everything out last year and we didn't have a lot of that stuff in when, it sounds funny, even by August, we probably did have it in by then, but we didn't make any of those changes. So short-term disability was a lot less. People make changes. I think with the gold and silver, there's less money the county has to pay for that, for matching. Some people actually have tried to do with the budget guidelines and cut 0.5% out of their budget. I know in our office, I can use this as a specific example. I can't spit that word out, but like, my son turns 26 this year, so I can drop him off insurance. And so I go to single coverage in September, so I I just went ahead and made that change.
Sure.
So, I knew that. I don't know that for every budget, but that matching insurance can be a big chunk of money in a budget, especially when you have a large department. Plus, we dropped an employee. We have one less as of right now, so
One of the things that I'd like to ask is that you actually have someone go through all the different departments and see what their budget, what the balance is today, knowing that in a week, they'll all be asking and requesting for money, but find out what the balance is today, and then look at what the true balance was last year and maybe the year before for water and postage. And I'm specifying postage because in the department that I work in, I have generated a lot of paper. The reports that I send out are hundreds of pages sometimes. I've gone strictly to thumb drives. So all of that paper is no longer being done. Thumb drives are all of that big, the postage is nothing on it. Therefore, the department that I'm in, we're not spending that much money. We don't send paper through the postal service anymore, we're emailing. Anything that we're doing is by email. And I'm asking about water because I'm tired of seeing all these half-used empty, or half-used water bottles. You know, the departments are paying for that. And at the Jolly Building, as well as like the high schools in Anderson County, as well as Oak Ridge, they're using these filtration systems that are filtering the water in the building where you can get, you know, everything filled up. We need to look at other ways to be able to cut. And there's just a lot of waste there.
I'll
So-
get you that report.
I mean, I'm, you know, intending on going to the mayor at one point to ask her to have someone check into that for our buildings, whether it's through grant money or through the purchase and installation ourselves. Because I'm just getting tired of people feeding their plants with filtered water too. So,
Good point,
thanks.
good point.
So, the plan is we'll meet next Thursday at 7 for another budget next
7?
Thursday at 4, sorry,
Yeah.
for a budget meeting. Sorry, 4 o'clock next Thursday. And we'll have some budget hearings. I'll schedule those and get the agenda out to you guys. Try to get it out earlier because I already know there's probably going to be maybe 4 to 5 people in the budget hearings, and a couple of them will not take long at all.
Will not do what?
A couple of them will not take long at all.
Okay.
So, and if we want to vote that day, or if you want to wait and do it, you know, we can vote to pass budgets, or we can wait and meet again in the last meeting in March that we have scheduled. I also put a calendar in the side of your book that it sort of had highlighted the dates that we have scheduled. After March 12th, it's March 26th. I mean, I don't know that that budget meeting will be necessary, but that's something we can decide next week, so. But this anyway is your packet and introduction. I'm already gonna change some of these budgets, because I'll probably I will figure up the new rates on the retirement and have that in the budget to show you guys next time, we didn't do 263 or none of the debt service funds, because all three of the debt service have new bond coming in May, so we're still trying to work to get those new charges and amounts with Scott Gibson, and we should know that we may be able to sell those bonds in the next couple of weeks, by the end of March anyway, so we may have those budgets ready soon too. So that's all I got about the budgets, unless y'all have any questions.
Any questions? We ready to go home?
Yeah.
We're adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Very good.